obviously there's the external things we all hope and dream for. For me, being in Hawaii, traveling, surfing, coaching clients, all of that stuff is important. But the bulk of my work with Gary has been, who am I being and how am I being with myself? So all of the things we've mentioned about self-judgment, who I think I am or who I think I am not,
Yeah.
that stops me from creating what I want or stops me from taking action. So it's really, a lot of inner work that you wouldn't kind of see externally except through the results that change in my being actually creates.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I I know it's hard to boil that down. I mean, this has taken you years, but when you talk about inner work and you talk about showing up for yourself, I mean, what has been some of the work that you've done with Gary and subsequently with yourself to get here? I mean, obviously it's a lot of mindset, but I mean, when to these practices to actually allow yourself to be in this position to not only live your best life but help others live theirs as well. This is something that's a daily practice, and so I'm just curious what that looks like for you personally.
Yeah. So, I mean, the context of the work is really I bring my whole life to our coaching conversations. So whatever's going on my work, God, yeah, excuse me, whatever is going on in my world is the kind of context and the agenda for that call. So
Yeah.
it's kind of like anything that I feel off about or that is kind of that I feel thrown off with, we'll kind of pick apart. Um, so most of the time it comes down to how I'm being with myself, thoughts, beliefs, judgments of myself, judgments of others, and then we sit and talk about it and kind of pull it apart and kind of resets me back to zero. If that
Yeah,
makes sense.
it does. It makes perfect sense, and I have to imagine
Yeah.
there's a lot of vulnerability in that.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd already done 2 years of coaching with another coach before Gary, but it kind of went up another level. But he's so loving and present and generous that it's kind of safe to bring anything
Yeah.
to the call. So yeah, that's kind of without like going into like details, that's
Sure.
kind of like the broad overview. And
Yeah.
actually the way that he sees me because of the work he's done on himself, if you listen back to his call, I'm sure he talks about that. But he saw me initially as Queen Emma. And then the work became, wow, if I could see myself as that, what would
Yeah.
that make possible?
Absolutely.
And he saw that in me way before I could see that. At first it was kind of uncomfortable. And I was like, oh, what Queen Emma, okay. So that's a whole story around the creation of Queen Emma, but now that is the place that I live from when I'm doing or creating anything,
Yeah.
to come from that place rather than, who I think I am or am not, that's a hindrance. And I forget, right? It's a daily practice. So it's that coming back home. Most of my work is remembering the truth of who I really am.
Yeah. Well, that's a valuable lesson in that it can be so difficult to remember that people see us differently than we see ourselves, and that's a good thing generally. I People see, I think, our potential more than we see in ourselves when we look in the mirrors. And when it comes to Queen Emma, Gary obviously saw something extremely valuable in you that you weren't yet able to see, and he is so well trained, and yourself, of course, as well, to pull that out of people. And I think if we could do that not only for other people but for ourselves, we'd be so much happier. We'd be so much more productive. We'd be such a more kind and loving race.
Yeah, absolutely. And the reason Gary can do that is because of he's so okay and at home with himself, as you've
Yeah.
experienced that, when you can be that with yourself, you see things in other people that they can't see and call them out of them.
Yeah.
And it's
Absolutely.
just, I mean, that's been the biggest gift from both Gary, and also I hired his business partner, Karen. And between them, it's like the ultimate coaching dream team.
Yeah.
It's been amazing.
That's incredible. That's incredible.
And an investment as well, it's not, it is an investment, but it's, when you can say to yourself, no, I'm worth that. I'm going to invest in myself. Yes, I pay them, but it's actually an investment in me. And it's what's made everything that I've created possible. I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing without their help. Yeah. Absolutely.
So you've mentioned a couple of times when we spoke previously, and I think in the questionnaire, talking about being deliberate. What does that mean to you?
Yeah. It means choosing what you want and being deliberate, taking deliberate action, small steps to create what it is you want. So intentional living, conscious choice, moving forward one step at a time. It actually came from, I've got it here actually, let me look. I saw a poster my dad had and it said, life is a limited time offer, live deliberately, ride frequently.
Yeah.
And I just thought that was, wow, deliberately, be deliberate. And then I was inspired by the quote by Henry David Thoreau, which is, go confidently in the direction of your dreams, live the life you imagine. And to me, that just sums up being deliberate, actually living the life you imagine, because the dream part is kind of easy-ish, to dream about what you want, but actually then living those steps any way you can right now. So that's how the kind of be deliberate philosophy was created to help people move forward.
Yeah, I love that. I'm thinking back on, I guess, my transitional period between dreaming and actually being deliberate with how I want to accomplish that dream. And I think a lot of people, I love and respect people who dream. I think it's fantastic, phenomenal. But I think so many people are scared to take the first step into that action to actually accomplishing their dreams. And I don't know if it's overwhelming. I don't know if it's just self-doubt and saying, oh, this is just a dream, I'm never going to accomplish it. But when you talk with somebody who has expressed their dreams, but they don't feel like they deserve to live them, how do you help them through that? How do you help them take that first leap toward accomplishing them?
Yeah, I think for me, it's leaning into the feeling of what is it you want? What would that feel like? And once they've got that kind of sense, then breaking it down into, okay, what one small thing could you do today? Even if that's, well, I'm going to write a list of possible actions.
Yeah.
Or even just like being still and quiet and getting the feeling of just imagine what that feeling would be like when you've created what it is you want. And then letting the ideas come. I don't have like a prescription or, oh, you should do this, this, this.
Right.
No, I don't know. I didn't know how to create what I wanted, but letting it come in that peace and quiet, the little ideas would come, oh, I could do that. So it's opening them up to that possibility. And then sometimes it's very obvious that something in their thinking is in the way of what they want or what they think they can do. So I would work with them to kind of break that down, dissolve it, so they're free to take the next action.
The Mosaic Life podcast is available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Check out the full show notes at themosaiclifepodcast.com and sign up for the Circle newsletter for exclusive access to podcast content.